Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer LB4310C-350-600. This is a single-acting full mortise spring hinge, 3.5 size, contract grade, that's what the C stands for, lube bearing, steel-based, in a prime coat finish. So let's dissect the part number. First of all, LB stands for lube bearing, which is a maintenance-free sort of bearing design by Bommer. 4310C means that this is a square-cornered, commercial-grade leaf thickness, which would be 129 thousandths, 130 thousandths thick leaf. So it's a considered commercial. You know, this is not your thinner gauge residential hinge. That's about 96 thousandths, a little bit thicker than standard. The -350 part of the part number specifically means that it's 3.5 inches tall, and the height is always the first dimension on this type of hinge, by 3.5 inches wide. -600 means it's in the prime coat finish, so this is something that you're going to paint, is how that's what these are intended for. So this is a spring hinge, something that you're going to use on a door that needs to be self-closing. Either you want it to be self-closing, like maybe a bedroom door that you keep closed in a residential application during the winter months because no one's ever in there and no reason to heat the room beyond what it needs to be heated. Or maybe you've got a door, you know, that needs to be self-closing, like maybe something that's fire rated. However, a 3.5 inch hinge is not the best choice or first choice for an 1 3/4 door. So keep that in mind. 1 3/8 doors would be appropriate for a 3.5 inch hinge. If you've got something thicker, then maybe a 4 inch hinge would be the way to go. You know, or you might have a garage door, attached garage. It's not fire rated, but you want it to be self-closing. This could work out perfectly for you. Millions of different applications, I suppose. So it is a full mortise hinge, like we said, and you can see from the swag on the hinge leaves that when the hinge is closed, everything's intended to be mortised flush to the door and frame. The hinge leaves are. Okay, it's a single acting spring hinge. Okay, it's non-handed, can be used for left hand or for right hand doors. Looking at the guide or the description below this video, it's calling out a usage guide basically in terms of how many hinges based on door size, door weight. First of all, screws are going to be included in a complementary finish. Okay, wood screws and metal screws. So they're really thinking you're dealing with doors no bigger than 3 foot by 7 foot. Now, with that in mind, if you've got a door that's up to about 70 pounds, 2 spring hinges are the idea, with 1 standard hinge, 1 non-spring hinge. And then if you've got a door that's 90 pounds, 3 spring hinges. Now, I'm a fan of all spring hinges, or more than what you think you might need. And here's why. Well, number one, they're not really that expensive, especially in a prime coat finish. Number two, and you can, by the way, these are interchangeable with standard hinges. The axis of pivoting is completely interchangeable and compatible with that. So you can mix these. If you have a door that might be 50 pounds, you could certainly put 1 of these on there, or possibly 2. But again, I'm a fan of all spring hinges, or more than you need, and here's why. Having installed these and adjusted these and gone back and adjusted them over and over again, I have found a greater level of success when I've got more spring power than otherwise you might opt to have. Think the analogy that I think of is like a tugboat. They don't go very fast, but they have a lot of torque. They have a lot of power to pull something. And spring hinges, in my mind, are somewhat like that. When I've got 1 spring hinge doing the job, that spring hinge has got to overcome the weight of the door, the friction involved, the air pressure, and then at the very final end, the resistance of the strike and the latch bolt hitting the strike plate. I have found when you've got a lower or less amount of spring hinges, you need to turn the spring power up, meaning you have to set a much higher tension on the spring to get it moving through its closing cycle fast enough just to overcome all those things I just mentioned. And then the problem is the amount of stored energy at the very closing cycle is really none, and you're kind of just working on inertia at that point. More spring hinges gives you more ability to close the door but more importantly to latch the door without having to get it moving so fast through the closing cycle that you run the risk of it either not latching or slamming. And that's my suggestion. And if it was me, I would use all spring hinges on a door, provided it wasn't hollow core. And then you can really tailor that very well. Setting the tension on this hinge is quite simple. And there's a link below this video to the template. We'll get back to the setting of it. The template is there and shows everything important dimensionally about the hinge, and I won't beleaguer all those points here because they're on the template. Installation instructions are there as well, and you're most likely going to get the hinge in a box, and if you don't, that's fine because the same thing is on those instructions. Setting the tension is simple. You're going to get a tension rod, black piece of steel. You're going to get a tension pin, a silver piece of steel. Okay. Tension collar is this doodad here that's got the holes in it. And with the tension collar pointed to the top of the door, regardless of the hand, turn this clockwise. And as you do so, you can see that you reveal new holes in that tension collar. And it's into one of those new holes that you insert the tension pin. Okay. I think Bommer doesn't recommend any more than 3 holes from where you're at a state of rest on these. And you don't want to overset it. You don't want to break the spring, which rarely happens, but it could happen. You'll hear a lot of creaking if the spring is really starting to contort and get curved inside of there a little bit. So more springs the better. That's the bottom line. It'll pay for itself down the road in less aggravation. And Bommer makes this available in several different finishes, several different sizes, several different templates of holes, templating for the screw holes. There's a video that I have. On the contact us under video gallery how to identify a spring hinge. Okay, that you can use if you're not sure if this is the one that you need. Okay, and the last thing I'd like to point out to you is the Bommer logo. It says right there, "Made in USA," right above the logo, if you can read that. A fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. If you have any questions on the Bommer LB4310C-350-600 single acting, full mortise, spring hinge, contract grade, template pattern, prime coat finish, standard weight, commercial grade. If you have any questions on this or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.